Making your own dolls can be a fun and rewarding hobby. It allows you to create unique and personalized dolls that can be used for play or display. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced crafter, there are many different techniques and materials that you can use to make your own dolls. Here is a step-by-step guide on how to make your own dolls. Materials: scissors, sewing machine or needle and thread. Fabric: cotton or muslin work well. Stuffing: polyester, fiberfill or cotton batting. Patterns or templates, optional. Paint or markers, optional. Instructions: start by choosing a fabric for your doll. Cotton or muslin work well, but you can also use other fabrics like denim, felt, or fleece. If you are using a pattern or template, trace it onto the fabric and cut out the pieces. If you don't have a pattern, you can create your own by drawing the shape of the doll on the fabric and cutting it out. Once you have your fabric cut out, begin sewing the pieces together. If you are using a sewing machine, use a straight stitch to sew the pieces together. If you are using a needle and thread, use a whip stitch or a running stitch to sew the pieces together. Once the doll is sewn together, it's time to stuff it. Use polyester, fiberfill or cotton batting to stuff the doll. Stuff it firmly, but not too tightly. After the doll is stuffed, you can add any additional details like eyes, a nose, or a mouth. These can be sewn on or painted on with fabric paint or markers. Finally, you can add any clothing or accessories to your doll. You can make clothes using fabric scraps and sew them on, or you can use ready-made clothes and accessories. Note: if you want to create a more complex doll, you can use a wire armature to create a more posable doll. This is a more advanced technique and requires additional materials like wire and pliers. When creating your own dolls, the possibilities are endless. You can create dolls that are realistic or abstract, large or small, simple or complex. It's a great way to express your creativity and imagination. Making dolls can be a fun and relaxing hobby for both kids and adults. It can also be a good way to spend quality time with your loved ones, especially when making dolls together. And once you have created your dolls, you can use them as decorative items or as a way to tell stories and play with them. In conclusion, making your own dolls is a fun and rewarding hobby that can be enjoyed by people of all ages. With a little creativity, you can create unique and personalized dolls that will be treasured for years to come. So gather your materials and get started on creating your own dolls today. Another technique that can be used to make dolls is using polymer clay. This type of clay can be shaped and molded into a variety of forms and can be baked in an oven to harden. This method is great for creating dolls with more detailed features, such as facial expressions and intricate clothing. To make a doll using polymer clay, you will need polymer clay, such as Fimo or Sculpey. An oven. An armature, if you want to make a posable doll. Clay sculpting tools. Acrylic paint, optional. Instructions. Start by making an armature if you want your doll to be posable. An armature is a basic structure that gives the doll support and allows it to be positioned in different poses. You can use wire or aluminum foil to make an armature. Next, take a small amount of clay and shape it into a ball. This will be the head of your doll. Use clay sculpting tools to shape the head and add details like eyes, nose, and mouth. If you want your doll to have hair, you can add it at this stage by shaping the clay into strands and attaching them to the head. Once the head is complete, use more clay to shape the body. You can attach the head to the body using a small amount of clay. Continue to shape and add details to the body, such as arms, legs, and clothing. Once you are happy with the shape and details of your doll, bake it in the oven according to the clay manufacturer's instructions. This will harden the clay and make it permanent. After the doll is cooled, you can paint it with acrylic paint if desired. Another option to consider while making dolls is using recycled materials. You can use materials like old clothes, socks, or even paper match to create dolls. This is a great way to be eco-friendly and repurpose materials that would otherwise be thrown away. In addition to being a fun and creative hobby, making dolls can also be a therapeutic activity. It can be a great way to relax and de-stress, and it can also boost self-esteem and self-expression. Once you have made your dolls, you can use them as a way to explore different emotions and stories. In conclusion, making dolls can be a fun, creative and rewarding hobby. There are many different techniques and materials that can be used to make dolls, and each method has its own unique benefits. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced crafter, there is a method that will work for you. So, gather your materials and start creating your own dolls today.